Anyway, another horror movie that comes out 2 weeks later, also in time for Halloween, and one I'm more excited for is my 10th most anticipated movie of the year, known as Crimson Peak. Before Pacific Rim came out, I was never a fan of Guillermo del Toro, but thanks to that movie and his executive producing work on various DreamWorks animation movies and producing last year's anime movie The Book of Life, I am now highly interested in all of his upcoming projects, including this one. This picture here is only part of the film's logo, as it apparently doesn't have the film's title with this. Anyway, before the Pacific Rim sequels do come out, here is his own haunted house, or in this case, mansion, movie set in Colombia, in a crumbling mansion in a largely rural and mountainous region of northern England in the 19th century, where a young author named Udith Cushing discovers that her charming new husband, Sir Thomas Sharp, is not who he appears to be. The cast is huge. It's got Alice in Wonderland's Mia Wasikowska, Tom Hiddleston, Jessica Chastain, and Pacific Rim's Charlie Hunnam. Now, don't think of this as just a horror movie, but it's really more than that. According to the director, it's a visual feast, and he is right. It's a ghost story with a mix of classical gothic romance, and apparently it's a hard R movie. Funny, these days ghost stories are rated PG-13, and apparently we'll get some blood in this movie. Plus, aside from the characters in the story, the house is also considered a main character in the film, and to find out how and why, go check out Legendary Pictures' sneak peek with GTT himself from the San Diego Comic-Con 2014 on YouTube. The movie will be scary and disturbing at some points, but it'll also be fun, exciting, breathtaking, and beautiful. Movies like this have to be seen in large format theaters, period. Oh, and here's a fun fact. Since getting used to the horror genre, I've seen one good horror movie each year since 2012 with Dark Shadows, 2013 with Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, and 2014 with Dracula Untold. Now, for 2015, I'm seeing 3 horror movies this year. Now, just for a record, I will only see a horror movie that has a good story and a happy ending. Enough said. And now back to the magical world of sci-fi with a Disney movie, taking the number 9 spot, known as Tomorrowland. Now, before I go on, I should remind you all that this is not based on the Disneyland attraction of the same name. Anyway, this is an original story from former animation man Brad Bird, fresh from The Simpsons and Oscar-winning Pixar films The Incredibles and Ratatouille. He made his live-action debut with Paramount on the 4th installment of their stupid Mission Impossible franchise from 2011. For just because that movie was a surprise hit, it doesn't necessarily mean that this movie will be too. As awesome as it will be, some of you are probably predicting this as the next John Carter because Disney hired another Oscar-winning Pixar director, Andrew Stanton, to make that movie, and we all know how that worked out. However, whether it becomes a hit or miss with the critics and the box office, I know it'll be successful with my opinion. The story's great so far and the cast is interesting, which includes George Clooney in his first Disney movie and the beautiful Britt Robertson. Overall, this is going to be another exciting big sci-fi flick from the good people at Disney, despite some concerns over how it may do. The question is, will this movie be a success or another legendary Disney flop? Only time will tell. But if you're in the mood for an original sci-fi and are getting tired of 3D and sequels in this genre, then this could be the movie for you. Speaking of sequels, but not of the sci-fi genre, this next movie on my list is the comedy sequel that my whole family will be excited to see, and that is my 8th most anticipated movie of 2015, known as Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. The first Paul Blart movie came out in 2009, and despite the mixed reviews, the film's box office performance surprised the shit out of us. Sure, most critics hated it, but us, the audience, knows better. It was a fun and funny cop comedy that made some of us hope for a sequel, but the follow-up never came to life until now. The sequel's plot shows Paul Blart not protecting a mall, but instead he's protecting Las Vegas casinos from robbery, and he's got a hilarious army by his side. The only actor reprising her role next to Kevin James is Ryan E. Rodriguez as Paul's daughter Maya. Sure, it's just Kevin and his character's daughter coming back and none of the other main cast from the first film, but the trailer promises fans like me that the sequel will be more of the same humor and fun with a lot new shit. Now, if only we could get the critics to be more open-minded. Just saying. Anyway, This isn't the only sequel Kevin James will reprise his role for. This next movie is an anime sequel that he and almost the whole main cast will be coming back for. And my seventh most anticipated movie of the year is Hotel Transylvania 2. I was really excited for Hotel Transylvania when it was announced, but it turned out to be not all that dark. However, childish looking animation aside, the movie turned out to be the best Sony Pictures animation movie ever. Well, that's now tied with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. There isn't a movie from them since that movie, so like Pixar, they gave us nothing for 2014. However, what better way to see their newest work, again, than a sequel to their hilarious 2012 hit? Reprising the roles are Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg, Selena Gomez, Kevin James, Fran Drescher, Steve Buscemi, and David Spade. But the bad news is that CeeLo Green will not reprise his role as Murray the Mummy and will instead be voiced by Keegan-Michael Key. Seriously? What the fuck? I mean, SPA did the same thing with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, where the sequel has Mr. T replaced by Terry Crews. Plus, it looks like Molly Shannon isn't coming back either, but Mel Brooks has signed up to voice Dracula's father, Vlad. Now, the story for this next installment is pretty interesting, but it's not exactly what I expected. However, almost the whole main cast is back, and hopefully when the first trailer comes out, it'll give us belief that it'll be better than what we hoped for. I expected the sequel to be about the monsters meeting Jonathan's parents. You know, the typical meet the parents or meet the in-laws type of sequel, but who knows? Maybe that'll be saved for Hotel Transylvania 3. Anyway, onto another comedy starring Adam Sandler and Kevin James, that is my sixth most anticipated movie of 2015, known as Pixels. I first heard of this movie in 2011 and didn't know anything about it other than the title and who will be in it. Well, the more I hear what the movie is, the more excited I get. When you get a mix of an alien invasion, classic video games, Adam Sandler playing another hilarious hero to root for, and Kevin James playing the President of the United States, this is what you get. It turns out that the aliens misinterpreted video feeds of classic arcade games as a declaration for war. So what do they do now? Why, they attack the Earth using the games as models for various assaults, of course. The only way to save the day is for Adam Sandler's protagonist and the president, played by Kevin James, to lead a team of old-school arcaders to defeat the aliens and save the planet. Apparently, the only other awesome actor to star in this movie is Peter Dinklage. However, this is a humans vs. aliens story that has obviously never been done before. Sure, there were other alien invasion comedies like the Men in Black trilogy, but there was definitely nothing like this. The premise of aliens using classic video games from the 1980s decade to destroy the world? That's fucking awesome, man! After talking about 3 Kevin James movies in a row,